All right, so May is done. All the paychecks have hit, and for the month of May, I made a total of $2,514.76. That is a number that is brand new to me in my life. I can hardly even comprehend that number, and I'm so proud of myself for how far I've come. The context on that is I work 40 hours a week, $18 an hour as a shift leader at Whataburger. Over the last couple weeks, classes have come to an end. So I've been working 40 hours a week, and that's why if you watch the first video in this series that I made in May, my income has jumped by about $800 because I'm working full-time hours now. The other thing that I want to mention is my parents want me to be able to focus on school, so they cover a couple of my expenses, which is my rent, car insurance, health insurance, and phone bill. So those are not 4 things that we're going to be focusing on in today's budget. But it's month 2 of doing this consistently, so let's look at the numbers. To me, the most important thing about budgeting and taking care of your finances is not the actual number that you're making. The most important part about budgeting is the system and the habit of doing budgeting in and of itself. So the first thing that I lead with each month is the system of paying myself first. Before I do anything else with my money, before I pay it out to other lenders or any of that sort of stuff, I have to pay myself first so that I'm actually benefiting from the money that I'm working for. The way I do that is splitting 15% of my income into a high yield savings account, 10% of my income into a Roth IRA, and 5% of my income into an individual brokerage. These 3 accounts serve 3 different purposes in my monthly budget. A high yield savings account is something that I use to keep my emergency fund of 3 to 6 months of expenses. I also use it as a kind of short-term savings account for things like a wedding that I might have upcoming and that sort of stuff, right? The Roth IRA is something that's for retirement. It's your long-term thing. You can't touch a Roth IRA tax-free at least until 59 and a half. So it's something that I'm building up long-term so that one day I can retire and actually enjoy my money a little bit more then, right? The individual brokerage is the mid-tier thing. It's something like you want to have a really nice down payment for a house in 10 years, but you want to be able to access that money before 59 and a half. That's the purpose of the individual brokerage in my system. And here's the thing about these percentages. They stay the same no matter what my income is. And that's the main thing that I'm teaching to you in this specific part of the video, is the fact that whether I make $2,500 in a month or if I make $800 in a month, these percentages are staying the exact same thing. Every single month, I will be putting 30% of my income into accounts that benefit me first. The actual numbers for the entire month of May, I was able to save $754.44. $377.22 of that went into my high yield savings account, which earns a 3.8% interest rate per month, which is paying me back already. To my Roth IRA, I contributed $251.48 for the month of May, and in my brokerage, I did $125.76. I'm very proud of how much I can pay myself first. So after my savings and investing, I'm left with $1,760.32. Then I move over to the subscriptions tab in my budget, which in subscriptions, I pay out $136.12 per month. The MLS season pass, because I like to watch soccer, is $8.92 per month. This is actually a yearly subscription of $120, but if I break it up by 12, it allows me to not be shocked and caught off guard when that monthly subscription or that yearly subscription comes out, because I've already been preparing for it monthly. So that's another thing that I do for my finances. Spotify each month is $765 because I'm on the student discount plan for the next couple years until I graduate college at least. My Adobe Suite software is $17.55. I use that for all my YouTube content and business stuff. My Velio subscription, which is another thing for content, only costs me $2 a month. And the biggest part of my subscriptions is I pay $100 a month for therapy. I take my mental health very seriously, so it's just a monthly check-in for me, but it's an amount of money that I'm willing to pay because the benefits to me are so worth it that I take it seriously to pay out that $100 a month for therapy. After all my subscriptions, I'm left with $1,624.20 left for the month. And then we move over to the casual category, where I spend a total of $845 this month. That is $300 for groceries, $100 for gas, $300 for fun money, and $150 for my girlfriend's birthday. It's her birthday this month, so I'm just going to have a separate category for that so that I don't have to worry about the fun category. I have a fun category because it's very important to have a fun category in your budget, because if you feel too restricted overall, you're not going to do anything right with your budget because you're not going to stick to it if you don't allow yourself to have a little fun. The fun category is very important here. And groceries, $300 a month for a one person living, and I meal prep and eat relatively healthy. It's very doable, and I think that it's something that I like to stick to the most. After my casual spending is done, I'm left with $779.29. This is a lot left over, and this money is going straight back into my emergency fund, and I'm going to explain that now. And the reason that money is going straight back into my emergency fund is because, to be transparent, May was a pretty rough month for me financially. Not rough in a literal way, rough just in I had to use some money that I wasn't exactly planning to use. Number one was my phone broke, which I know is a very first world problem, but I had to replace it. And the phone total was $1,349.41 because I was using the iPhone 12 for 5 years. And I finally decided that I'm just going to go ahead and get myself a nicer phone because I live on my own now and I get to decide what phone I get. So I just wanted to get an iPhone 17. So the total for that, like I said, was $1,349.41. But I had leftover money from April, which took off $473 of it. Then comes in the system that I wanted to talk about. Since I've had good systems in place, since I've been financially literate using credit cards to build up points back and all that sort of stuff, I was able to take off $228 of the bill from Amex. I used my American Express cashback points to take off that amount of money, which really helped me out a lot. I also traded in my old phone, so in the end, I actually only had to pay $510.69 for the phone. The other thing that I did in the month of May was I purchased the engagement ring that I'm going to use to propose to my girlfriend. She knows I bought the ring, and I'm not going to give the number on this account because she does sometimes watch these videos, and I don't want her to know exactly how much I spent on her ring. But long story short, it was a decision that I had made in my heart, but I just hadn't really made yet when it came to the financial side of it. So I finally made that decision in May and bought the ring. But in total, I pulled out $4,000 from my emergency fund to cover everything, plus a little bit of extra spending in May just because of Mother's Day and all that sort of stuff that wasn't really planned. So in total, I pulled out that amount of money, and by the end of May, I only had $5.09 left over. So May was a pretty intense month for me financially, and that $5.09 is being added to the leftover budget for June and going straight back into my emergency fund to start the process of rebuilding my emergency fund back to actually be able to cover 3 to 6 months of expenses for me. But this is why we have emergency funds, so that when something goes wrong, we're able to replace that thing and not have to freak out financially, and we now just go back into a process where things are in rebuild mode. And on top of that, for the month, my individual brokerage money, that $125, is also going to go straight into my emergency fund, just to start building that back up as quickly as possible, because that is the core of my finances. The fact that I have a really, really good number in a savings account that covers everything in my life. If everything were to go wrong, I could replace whatever I needed to and not have to worry about it. So when it comes to budgeting, these are the things that I like to remember when I do each of my budgets. The main lessons are to always pay yourself first. Take advantage of the money that you're making and let it benefit you before it benefits anybody else. Use percentages so that you can have easy systems and not worry about your numbers as much, because you know that no matter what you make per month, you're going to be saving this amount of money. Also, be sure to give each category a ceiling so that you're watching how much you might be overspending in that area, and track your spending throughout the month so that you make sure you're staying on track. Most importantly, when it comes to what happened to me in May, make sure you are building an emergency fund, because that is what the emergency fund is there for, to cover that kind of crazy come up expenses that you're not used to in a month. So this has been month 2 of me consistently budgeting my money on camera so that you guys are aware of where I'm at, and showing to you guys that you can budget your money and start to build wealth young, even at our college age. And that's the most important lesson of everything that I could possibly teach you, is if you start taking your finances seriously now, you can build a life for yourself that you've always wanted. And this is month 2 of doing that and consistently showing you guys that, and I plan to keep doing that for a long, long time. So if you're curious in financial education and all of that sort of stuff, and just watching me build up my wealth and teaching you how I'm doing it so that you can do it too, subscribe along for the channel for that one. And if you're curious to see how I make a grocery budget of only $300 work, subscribe and you'll see that video very soon. Besides that, have a great day, and I'll see you guys very soon.